Hello and welcome to the Join Dota League Season 3 here on HeflaTV 1. Right now we're going to have a best of two between Bananas and Pajamas and Team Your Family. So with that said, I'm going to be one of your casters today. I'm Grandisveen. I'll be joined by Banshee. Welcome to the cast.
Hey, I will say that I haven't actually seen a lot of your family before. I've seen Bananas Pajamas around a bit as they kind of played a little bit in the Gigabyte qualifiers and have been around a bit, a little bit of a play on the name Ninja's Pajamas, presumably. But your family are a little bit of a question mark for me personally.
Well, I'm kind of the exact opposite. Last season I saw your family a lot more than I saw Bananas and Pajamas. I think I cast one game of Bananas and Pajamas and like 3 of your family. But still not entirely comfortable or familiar with these teams, so it should be a fairly interesting game. As far as the betting site odds on this game are concerned, your family are considered the favorites, so I guess I'll just default to that as far as who I expect to win this game. So rooting for Bananas and Pajamas, let's see if they'll be able to take the win.
Yeah, because let's face it, betting is the reason why most of the people are here at the moment. And the reason why most people watch Dota in general.
Yeah, well, Bananas and Pajamas off to a good start in this draft, picking up the first pick, Faceless Void. It's going to leave a lot of heroes in the pool for your family to pick up. I think starting off with like a Shadow Shaman and Scarlet Mage would be a solid first 2 picks for them. But still, Faceless Void, a really sought-after hero that they're going to secure for themselves in the first pick. And there's your Skyrath for your family.
Yeah, Scarlet Mage, making sure Bananas Pajamas can't pick him up, and even if doesn't have that Void to go with him, he's still a very, very good hero. Just doing huge amounts of damage, being up to one of the few supports which can solo kill practically anyone up to about 45 minutes-ish if he can get the levels on his hero. I've been waiting for the second pick, as it is going to be a Tidehunter, another staple of the competitive scene, amazing teamfight capability, and a pretty good offlaner.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is going to allow Bananas and Pajamas to go ahead and snag up that Scarlet Mage for themselves. I think especially on the dire side, a wonderful pick for them. He's a support that can put some damage into the Chronosphere with those Serpent Wards, although not the best, doesn't compare really to Scarlet Mage or Witch Doctor in that regard. But still, I think one of the better supports in this current patch, and I'd like to see them pick it up.
10 seconds to go.
Yep, Witch Doctor, he's kind of picked up a little bit. His main issue is the fact that his stun is not the most consistent. Although he can get the 1 bounce off automatically, if there's, more than 2 people in the range of the cask, it can get a little bit iffy, so to say. As we do see Bananas and Pajamas, they are taking their time, just slowly waiting, using that reserve time for the second pick. And to me, that suggests that they were looking to pick up that Scarlet Mage themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you have first pick, it's very hard for you to secure that combo, but they'll go ahead and back out for the Viper instead, just looking for overall lane domination over your family.
Yep, and Viper now, what I have to wonder is, are they going to play this Void as an off lane or in a tri-lane? Because if we have that Viper, a Viper can go up against a Tidehunter pretty well. Tidehunter, his Anchor Smash does nothing against it, and the Viper could just simply his a poison attack and just harass out a Tidehunter, regardless of Kraken Shell.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm usually not a huge fan of aggressive tri-lane Faceless Void, but on the same token, definitely an option that Bananas and Pajamas could go for, especially depending on what your family are going to pick up as their position 1 farming core. So we'll just have to see as this draft progresses where they're going to go. Bananas and Pajamas are actually taking a lot of reserve time for this next couple of bans, as well as that Viper pickup, but they'll end up banning out the Kunkka.
Yeah, the Kunkka does make sense, as in, ironically, he does pair up with that Tidehunter very well with that boat. They're both doing huge amounts of teamfight damage, as we all been waiting for this next set of bans, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start banning out stuff like the Shadow Shaman, the Witch Doctor, or even the AA, just people who can come in with that Faceless Void and do huge amounts of teamfight damage, as we do see the AA does get banned out.
Yeah, Kunkka also really good against the Faceless Void. You can drop the ship inside the Chronosphere and pretty much force the Faceless Void to move away from the target that he's trying to focus down. Similarly with Torrent, you can do pretty much the same thing. Bananas and Pajamas go ahead and ban out the Tinker, leaving the Shadow Shaman still in the pool if your family want to pick that up as their secondary support, which I think would be a great option for them. Scarlet Mage and Shadow Shaman as a roaming support duo is one of the better ones this patch, with the concussive shot to get the Shadow Shaman in range for those shackles. You have a lot of great lockdown as well as damage to take down single targets.
Yeah, because both Shadow Shaman and Scarlet Mage do huge amounts of damage, as well. I'm waiting for this 4th pick, and If they're not going to pick up the Shadow Shaman, I would suggest them to ban it out, just because of he still is a good hero, even if he doesn't work that well with the Faceless Void Ultimates. They are taking their time, actually starting to eat in the reserve. The first time in your family have eaten the reserve so far this game.
Yeah, this is really where the draft starts to take shape. The first 4 picks usually, especially in this patch, don't really say a lot about what the teams are going to be doing, unless you do see an opening like a Shadow Shaman Death Prophet, where it's pretty much just all in push. But other than that, most of the high priority picks right now are fairly versatile in the way that you can lane them. Faceless Void can go safe lane, you can go off lane, you can be in a tri-lane, lots of different ways that they can play around with it. They end up banning out the Mirana and picking up the Lich for themselves, leaving the Shadow Shaman in the pool, and I'm not a huge fan of this Lich pickup here. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not a big fan of it myself, just because of Skywrath Mage and Lich. They do lots of damage, they've got nice lane control, and can do big stuff in team fights, but the main issue they have as a support roaming duo is just simply a lack of lockdown, a lack of stuns. Yes, silences and slows are good, but at the end of the day, stuns are king.
Yeah, in lane they'll be very good about zoning out the Faceless Void if that is an offlane Void for Bananas and Pajamas, and it looks like that is going to be the choice, with Wraith King being picked up by themselves. That could be a support Wraith King laned with the Faceless Void, but with the lack of range in that lane, they could run into some issues. Still plenty of laning options for Bananas and Pajamas, but I think that's going to be a solo Faceless Void.
Now, with the solo Faceless Void coming out, do your family want to go for an aggressive tri-lane themselves? Go tri-lane versus tri-lane and have that Tidehunter have a favorable matchup against the Faceless Void?
With Lich Skywrath, I'm not sure if that's the best option, but being able to deny the experience up against a tri-lane with the Lich is really harmful for the supports, especially, since if you are in a tri-lane versus tri-lane scenario, there's very little room for them to rotate around. But since they are in the safe lane, they will have pull experience available to them, but your family go ahead and pick up the Death Prophet. They don't have a lot of great pushing heroes to combo with this DP, so pretty much now it's just going to be the Death Prophet solo pushing, if they're able to win a team fight. However, once she does have her level 11 ultimate, those towers are going to start shredding, and with a Tidehunter Lich Skywrath Mage team fight, I think your family are warranted in doing this, as long as they don't get caught out by the Faceless Void Chrono.
Yep, and even if they do get caught out, Death Prophet is one of the little-known counters, so to say, to Faceless Void, just because as long as she's got her ultimate up first, and it's a high enough level to be doing the damage, it's still hurting Faceless Void, especially when it's got that Mask of Madness popped.
Definitely, but Bananas and Pajamas are going to return in kind against this Death Prophet, picking themselves up a Pugna. These drafts proceeded very interestingly. Like, the first 3 picks were fairly standard, and then you just drop a Pugna and Death Prophet onto the end of it and kind of call it a pushing lineup. I don't know, currently I'm lost for words as far as this Pugna pickup especially. It's going to be nice to have the pushing power coming out from the Pugna, but then again, they're not committing fully to the push. I don't know, Pugna's not going to be forced into building a mechanism as they do have a Viper on their team, so Pugna could just go straight up for some tanking items, maybe get a early plate mail up against the physical damage from the Death Prophet. I'm not entirely sure, maybe just builds the Aghanim Scepter earlier on to beef up his stats as well.
Well, I do like it to some extent. I can see why it's been picked up, because if we have a look at all the heroes currently on your family, Skywrath Mage, Tidehunter, Lich, Death Prophet, they all require lots and lots of spells to be cast, and very high mana spells to some extent, which is why the Death Board can do huge amounts of damage. Although, like what you kind of touched on, I'm not quite sure where he's going to be placed to get that kind of levels. As in a Pugna, Wraith King, Viper, Tri-Lane isn't really the kind of thing I've seen a lot before, although the Pugna could in theory go mid against the Death Prophet 1v1.
I think this is going to be a safe lane Pugna with the mid Viper solo off lane Faceless Void, and then they might just roam around with the supports, but our last pickup is going to be Morphling, picked up by your family.
Well, it's one of those carry pickups that have started to become a little bit more popular in the competitive scene. Morphling has huge amounts of survivability. He's not quite TI2 levels of strength, where he was picked practically every game and with his amazing strength gain. But, you know, he still does the job if he can get that shotgun build, and he's more of a mid-game carry nowadays, which is exactly what this lineup is trying to do.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm still not completely on board with this Morphling pickup. Currently, really the Pugna's the only target that you can reliably burst down. Faceless Void is more often than not going to be building himself a BKB, Viper innately tanky, and Wraith King, even if you kill him once, as long as he has the ultimate online, throwing your burst of spells is not really going to bother him that much, as he will come back in just a couple of seconds. We'll have to see how it's going to work out for them, but Bananas and Pajamas are going to pick themselves up a banana with the Venomancer pick.
Yeah, but the Venomancer, even more slow, but what we're really seeing right now for both these two teams is really a lack of lockdown. As in the only real lockdown we have is the Wraith King with his stun, and the ultimates from Tidehunter and Faceless Void.
Yeah, I really don't like this kind of trend to avoid these stuns. I think you can just make so much happening with just like a 2 or triple stun lane. I don't know, as you said, stuns are king, definitely the best way to lock down heroes. Eventually we'll probably see Size of Ice picked up by the Pugna, but I don't know, even then it's going to be very late on into the game.
5 seconds.
Very few ways to control up the Morphling.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I was going to say that although the Venomancer, he is very good in, tri-lane versus tri-lane or early game situations, due to the fact that it is a Venomous scale, lasts 15 seconds, has a 50% slow at level 1, which is huge. The problem you have is that, like what you said, it doesn't stop the Morphling just waveforming away.
Yeah, I don't know, I think I probably would have preferred a more physical damage-oriented carry, possibly even a Weaver pick coming out from your family. But still, with the Skywrath Mage Ancient Seal on a target with an Ethereal Blade on the Morphling, they'll be able to burst down single targets incredibly fast. I don't think there's a hero in the game that can actually stand up against that. Maybe if the Viper picks up a... let's see, if he builds a pipe for his team and a BKB, maybe he can survive against the Morphling Barrage, but even then, it's still just so much damage being pumped out.
Yep. I'd actually say that right now, the most tanky hero in this game probably would be the Wraith King, just due to his ability to re-come back. And it actually isn't a bad pickup against this family lineup due to the fact that you throw your shotgun or you throw your stun on him and then he just comes back.
Yeah, a lot of what your family are bringing to the table is kind of a one-shot deal. They have the Ravage coming up from the Tidehunter, Lich Chain Frost, Morphling his Barrage, but it's mostly just like a one-cycle team, where they don't have a lot of consistent damage throughout the team fight, with the exception of the Exorcism from DP.
As we do actually have the pause, and a nice little 8 being drawn on the screen. As it's basically the customary beginning of Dota 2 game pause. You can't start the Dota 2 game without it being paused for the first 10 minutes.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and introduce the Radiant side, as we do have a little bit of downtime in order to do so. So we are going to have your family playing on the Radiant with Sun1, playing on the Morphling Vlado, taking up the Death Prophet Fendril, going to be taking the Lich Kranich on the Tidehunter, and that will leave Kier playing on the Skywrath Mage.
In the meantime, the opposite side, we do have Bananas and Pajamas. We have Far With Me, who's going to be picking up that Pugna. I remembered it this time. As the stand-in Roy fucking Mustang on the Viper, XN Grey on the Faceless Void, Shiva on the Venomancer, and the stand-in Lizard on the Wraith King.
Yeah, and just as soon as we introduce the teams, we are going to have an unpause, so we'll be able to get into this game without much issues. Smoke's picked up by both teams to start us off, and we might be looking at a 5-man rotation. Possibly looking for the first blood, I don't know. For now, we are going to have the Viper, Wraith King, and Venomancer going towards the bottom lane, and in reserve they are going to have X and Grey as well as Farming with me taking up the rear here. To start us off, your family is going to start with a dual lane setup. Lich and Tidehunter going towards the off lane, and the safe lane going to be taken up by the Morphling as well as the Skywrath Mage. I don't know, the Tidehunter Lich lane is incredibly strong, but Morphling Skywrath Mage can definitely be punished. Not a whole lot they can do if you go onto them. I think one stun and either of these heroes are dead. And well, Skywrath Mage is going to get spotted out by the Wraith King, but will be able to back off. Too much move speed for them to catch him up. No boots on the Wraith King.
No, but they're all in their own jungle. They're going to get those wards up. They're just going to get the control of their enemy jungle. And
Seconds to showtime.
it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to lane this. We do have the Void down here, so probably just going to be the standard tri-lane mid off lane. With everything just, no first bloods coming out. Everything being more than dandy.
Yeah, I don't know, the Venomancer's kind of lagging around down towards bottom, so we might even be seeing dual lanes coming out from them as well. Not sure if they got enough intel to know that that's what your family is doing, and eventually we might see this Lich rotate towards another lane after denying some from the off lane.
And Tidehunter picks himself up a double damage rune. Very nice start for him right there. As the horn does sound, and our first Dota 2 match of the game starts.
Yeah. I don't know, Venomancer hanging around the ward spot for now, not really doing all that much. Yeah. Just waiting to see if one of these supports are possibly dropping a ward anywhere. They dropped a sentry to block the pole camp, as well as blocking the medium camp and getting vision of the support rotations with this observer ward placed behind enemy lines. But yeah, Venomancer just kind of chilling. Not sure what he's trying to accomplish right now.
Yep, he's just kind of standing there. He's going to be rotating back to mid. Probably going to join the tri-lane up top. As this Lich and the Tidehunter, the big advantage this Lich is going to bring you just the fact that it's always going to pull the lane towards their own tower. With that constant sacrifice coming out, it means that lane control is very difficult on the Bananas Pajamas side of the things.
Yeah, especially since they did only get a single pull coming out from the Wraith King. They might be looking to push this wave a little bit. They only get the melee creep denied towards the large camp. Venomancer rotating towards mid yet again. He drops his sentry and denies up an observer ward, but I don't know, this Venomancer's wasted quite a bit of time. He soaked a couple creeps worth of experience, or maybe just one out of mid lane, but other than that, hasn't accomplished much to start us off. Frostblast being thrown out by the Lich up top, but just some traded harass.
Yep, and that's one of the other advantages that Lich brings, is the fact he can just keep harassing with very little care for mana due to that sacrifice giving him even more mana. As Tidehunter is going to take a lot of damage from this Pugna, though. The constant nether blasts coming out are going to start becoming annoying eventually.
Yeah, but Tidehunter with 2 sets of tangos as well as a salve should have plenty of regen to muscle his way through that. The Faceless Void down in bottom's eating a lot of harass from the Skywrath Mage, but still able to pick up some decent experience on his own, although he could probably stand up a little bit more. We have pause coming out from Krenich. Hopefully nothing too pressing for this pause, so we can get back into the game shortly. Oh,
Yep, it looks like there was an issue. Accidentally pressing that F9 button, and we are going to be live as we do see that Viper is going to pick up the first kill. Nice rotation there coming out from the two supports, and that stun, just showing why stunned the King on that Wraith King.
yeah, the Wraith King has enough regen to stay around, so won't be forced back to base. Probably just going to salve up and use a Clarity. But for now, Faceless Void picks himself up a haste rune down in bottom. We'll be able to run away if there's any issues. Taking too much damage from the Skywrath Mage or the Morphling. So he should be just fine. He's actually going to start trading hits with Cure. Not sure about that decision coming out from the Faceless Void. We'll pull one of the creeps away from the wave.
Yeah, but really he's just mostly here to get the experience. He knows he's not going to get that much farm, but just try and get that fast level 6 up and start doing some awesome Chronospheres.
Yeah, that is the plan. I don't know, with these support pickups coming out from Bananas and Pajamas, however, they don't have the best heroes to put damage into the Chronosphere. Getting a nice Venomous Gale on everybody would be wonderful if he's able to find a good angle for that Chronosphere, but still not the most reliable way to get damage inside of there. Pugna is actually the one that combos best, being able to drop a Nether Blast onto all of the heroes that are caught inside the Chronosphere, and then being able to channel the Life Drain for the majority of the time. But still, I think Faceless Void's going to be more reliant on getting the damage inside the Chronosphere, so we're probably going to be seeing a Mask of Madness instead of an Aghanim Scepter this game coming out from him.
Yep, as the Mask of Madness is good for the damage, but at the same time, I feel that especially with the Death Prophet, it's probably going to be more of a pain to have on your side rather than a positive.
Yeah, definitely one of the concerns when you go for Mask of Madness on your Faceless Void. Venomancer eats a Frost Blast from the Lich and, well, drops a ward to slow down these two heroes. Yeah, fairly passive. I don't think, outside of that early kill in mid, we're going to see a lot of things happening in these lanes. I don't think there's very large killing potential, unless somebody overextends.
Yeah, but especially on this bottom lane Void, they can't really kill him. They can harass him, they can do annoying stuff, but we do see an invisibility rune being picked up by the Skywrath Mage, and how is he going to try and use this? It looks like he's clarityed himself up and going to be going bottom, but he has been spotted by that lovely ward there, that very common rune plus offlaner vision ward.
Yeah, and that will probably keep the Faceless Void safe. They'll need to kill him inside the silence if they want to hope to bring down XN Gray, but in the end the Skywrath Mage is just going to give up, probably guessing that he has been spotted by ward, and will make his way towards mid, it seems.
Yep, and mid Viper is going to be a little bit careful, taking a lot of harassment by this Death Prophet. The Death Prophet is currently losing in terms of last hits on this mid, But that might be changing if the Scarlet Mage can... Nope, he's just going to run out of his invis, and Viper knows something's up. He's just going to try and play as defensive as possible.
I don't know, this Viper build coming out from Roy Mustang is a little bit interesting. He has gone for 3 points into the Nitrotoxin, trying to dominate the lane as much as possible, but it's just not really panning out for him, as Vlada is still able to get a decent amount. Had he not gotten that first blood, I think he would have been in a bit of trouble. Vlado, they're going to jump onto him now with the silence coming up from the sky with Mage and the nukes. They might have enough damage. I don't know, he's just going to back off under tower and eat a lot of frass. Him solving up there pretty much secured that he'd be safe. But Venomancer gets a kill on the Lich in the meantime up in the top lane, just extending too far, and with that Wraith King Stun, a great way to set up the kills, and he's made a good usage of it. Lizard rotating towards mid and now getting the kill up top.
Yeah, very nice stuff right there, as we do see, I say that out of all the early game possible aggression, that Venomancer plus stun combo is probably the closest we've got to a kill combo in this entire game.
Yeah, well, with that Lich pulling the wave back towards the tower, it's going to take a lot of guaranteed damage coming out from the Pugmy. He drops a blast on the creeps, but unfortunately they did drop the fortification at the same time. But still, this tower is going to fall sooner rather than later, especially if they give up another kill up in this lane.
And in fact, I might just go ahead and fall now, as there's not that many creeps around the area. Lich is just being harassed out by these Plague Wards, and yeah, this tower's going to fall.
Yeah, despite your family getting better efficiency gold around the map, CSing better on the Morphling as well as Death Prophet and Tidehunter. Death Prophet is losing a little bit up into the Viper, but as far as this lane is expected to go, still doing admirably, with the exception of giving up first blood. But still, getting the early tower as well as 2 early kills on the side of Bananas in Pajamas. They'll be looking good as far as the early gold is concerned. Whether they'll be able to keep this up or not is another story.
No breaking through.
Yeah, because especially if that tower goes down. Bananas Pajamas, they're surely going to want to keep pushing, and now that exorcism has been popped, it's going to fall off soon, and it is only level 1 at the moment, not going to be doing very much. And this mid tower, that might be their next target.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think using your level 1 ultimate on Vlada is that big of a deal. It just doesn't do that much damage to level 1. Really, when it scales to level 11 is when it becomes really ridiculous. Just the amount of spirits that you get additionally. It starts out with 4, and then jumps straight to 12 coming out from level 11, and then once you have maxed out Witchcraft as well, just a lot of damage.
Yeah, the level 1 ultimate is probably one of the weaker ultimates in the game, with level 2 being possibly one of the stronger. It's an amazing jump in, a power, as we do see a phone call coming off a Void. Maybe it's like deal or no deal, banker guy.
I sure hope it's important. He is fairly low, but walking back towards base, no big issues. Just got harassed out of lane more than anything, coming out from the combo of the Scarlet Mage as well as the Morphling. They're good to keep him at arm's length, and it shows inside his farm. He's actually CSing poorer than the Venomancer, has 7 last hits compared to the Faceless Void 6 and 1. But he still managed to find himself level 4.
Yeah, still as in that's really what you want on your offlane, is get those levels up, although it's the Tide who's really getting the most out of this. A level 5 in a dual lane, and he's got 33 last hits. He's already got his Mana Boots. I'm going to be looking for probably a Blink next.
I would assume as much, but could also be going for the mechanism for his team. With Vlada's early start, I don't think he'll be buying it, and Morphling definitely not going to be purchasing that one up. He finishes his power treads as well as bringing Basilius, and I think, let's see. Morphling build this game, what do you think it's going to be? Just rush in towards that shotgun, or does he back off for something along the lines of a Lincoln's, or maybe even a BKB?
Well, I will say that right now there's nothing really on Bananas Pajamas side, aside
from... trying to TP out from mid, he's just poisoned up, and the cancel coming out from the Wraith King will be enough, but with the silence, they get the kill on the Venomancer as well as Wraith King. Just too much damage coming out. They didn't have Ravage available for that fight, unfortunately. Tidehunter was just a little bit of XP off of it. Now he has it, and they might continue pushing down this mid lane. But yeah, just going to be supports for Death Prophet. I think Bananas and Pajamas are going to be okay with that trade, but still not the best.
No, but we are going to be seeing Tide going to be forced back, but he does have his Ravage. He must have got it in that team fight. He's only just hit level 6, and, well, Ravage is possibly one of the better team fight controlling ultimates in the game. And it just means that Bananas Pajamas are going to be a little bit careful trying to push into any of these towers.
Yeah, for sure. Bananas and Pajamas also have their mechanism on their Viper as well. So they will be able to negate a lot of damage. A mechanism at this point in the game is pretty much one of the strongest items that you can purchase up. Still don't want to be looking to go into these towers, but with a good counter initiation coming out from the Tidehunter, it can be very scary for themselves to do so, especially since they don't have the ultimate available on Faceless Void just yet. That said, he is only a couple of creeps away from it and finally takes his level 6. Whoa, Faceless Void dies up in top lane just so fast coming out from the magic nukes. Coming up from your family, it actually panned the camera down towards bottom, looking for a kill onto this Morphling. They'll stun him up with the Wraith King, seems, but no, he's going to be able to waveform down towards the south. Loser taking too much damage from the Replicant, and Morphling looks like he's going to be safe. Tries to TP out, no way to cancel that in the end. So I guess I just picked my kills poorly, as Faceless Void's going to be the one giving up a kill.
Yep, they did take the tower though, and although Morphling wants to go in, Pugna's in huge amounts of trouble. He does manage to get the Decrepit Fire off, and Morphling now is going to be the one to run away. Not quite got the mana for another waveform, and close, but not quite enough. And that's going to be 3 for 3, but 2 towers going in favor of Bananas Pajamas.
I don't know, Morphling had 8 stick charges. He might have been able to make an aggressive turn on those 2 heroes, but without the tier 1 tower there for anybody to TP2, a very risky move. They won't go for. Venomancer up top, silence, and the magic nuke damage is too much. Yeah, I don't know, despite not having a lot of lockdown, these 2 supports, they can bring targets down very quickly. That magic amplification on the silence coming out from the Skywrath Mage is quite honestly very ridiculous.
As we are seeing, the Void has finally hit level 6 himself, meaning we've got all the key ultimates in this game, apart from maybe Liches.
Yeah,
oh no, Liches.
He says level for a while as an offlane Lich in the dual lane with the Tidehunter, getting the extra experience from the creeps. He's going to take his level 6, I don't know, faster than you usually see. We have a smoke coming out from the Tidehunter, as well as the 2 supports looking for a wraparound on mid. This could be disastrous for the Viper as well as the Pugna. Death Prophet also invised up. They're going to jump into the Pugna. He's silenced up, and Farm With Me is going to be destroyed. And now the push can commence coming out from your family. They don't have Exorcism up for another 60 seconds, so they won't have that, but I think the right clicks should be enough to take down this T1.
Well, should be, especially with not being able to have that Pugna up anymore. The Pugna being able to harass down those creep waves coming in. The Venomancer is doing the best he can, and is slowing down this push to some extent.
Well, I don't know. The rest of your family are just kind of tanking up the creep wave, and they have a full wave to do damage to this tier 1. But with the Venomancer, as you said, they might not be able to take this, especially with the creep aggro being pulled off of the tower.
Yep, and they're going to back off, just realize they can't take that without the Exorcism. And that is going to be, you know, it's just going to basically be a kill of the Pugna, which is always a nice thing, especially as the Pugna was effectively won the cause on Bananas Pajamas side.
They did commit a lot to that, however, and gave Faceless Void a decent amount of room up and top. Was able to pick up some farm, and now has his power treads finished, so not completely useless inside the Chronosphere. And also gave the Wraith King a little bit of room down in bottom, in order to get towards his level 6 as soon as possible. I'd like to see him save the point once he takes level 6 and then use it as needed in the teamfights for your first ultimate uses, but they're going to jump into the Death Prophet. They drop the Chronosphere with the Viper Strike. They will do some decent damage, but they drop a, Lich ultimate onto the Faceless Void as well, and Faceless Void just caught out a very awkward situation, blown up by the Ravage as well as the waveform. They stumped the Venomancer as well, but won't be able to chase down that kill. The Viper looking to clean up house. He doesn't look like he'll be able to do so. Strength Morph coming up from Morphling will be enough to keep him safe, but the Skywrath Mage ulti dropped down to Roy Mustang. It won't be enough. Uses the mechanism to make sure that he doesn't die, and the Skywrath Mage caught in a bit of a sticky situation, but a very scrappy engagement coming up from both of these teams, going to end up in a 1-for-1 trade in kills and a tower given away of Bananas and Pajamas.
Yep, and this is the advantage of a Pugna, in just that you can simply harass and push down your towers, you know, little by little, moment by moment, and it looks like they're going to be going, that's going to be all the tier 1 towers going down for your family, and I do also like these wards coming out from your family, Bananas Pajamas, just playing so aggressive with them.
Yeah, you usually don't see this Cliff Ward coming out at this point in the game, but with that tower push as well as a very spread out fight, pretty much sprawled across the middle section of the map, they were able to secure that one. I don't think it'll be dewarded. We'll give them decent vision of the Morphling, especially if he's farming up in those larger camps. Morphling going to be building towards the Mantis style, presumably, after this casual Yasha that he's going to be picking up. What are your thoughts on the Morphling's item choice this game?
You don't really see Manta style that often on Morphlings, but it does in a way help with a lot of additional damage, additional agility, and it's not a terrible item by any means, and does help in pushing to some extent. As we see a team fight happening here on middle.
Yeah, Wraith King loses ultimate, but Vlad is going to be the first actual kill of this game. They throw Wraithfire Blast away of Cure, and Cure is also going to be focused down. Scarlet Mage ulti will spread the damage mostly. It just doesn't do enough here. They're trying to chase down Cranch, but nobody cancel TP. No, I spoke too soon as Lizard has a Wraithfire Blast and a triple kill for Roy Mustang, and he's putting this max Nether Toxin build to good use, just cleaning up these kills after the tick damage comes out from the rest of the heroes.
Yep, really nice stuff there. And they're going to be trying to push down tier 2, and they're going to definitely get some damage on that. The Nether Blaster is completely coming in, and this is going to be a tier 2 kill. Just look how fast it's going down.
Yeah, for sure. There's really nothing that your family can do. They're going to Glyph it to delay the push, but without a Tidehunter having his Ravage for another 10 seconds, I think that's going to be plenty of time for them to get this kill. They need to back off, and let's see if your family are going to be able to get any kills on their retreat, but I don't think so. Yeah, for sure. They're just going to back off.
They're just going to get away, and everything's going to be more than happy and nice, like a Disney movie.
Tier 1 tower was secured by the Morphling down in bottom up against the Faceless Void. Not a lot they can do in the way of counter push. That said, Morphling's farming up his own jungle and might get caught out. I don't know. It looks like we are just going to back up into Roshan. With the Wraith King's aura, it will help them sustain through this, although a very slow Roshan coming out from Bananas and Pajamas.
Yep, it's not going to be the fastest Roshan in the world, but at the same time, there is no vision coming out from your family. They got to realize that this is happening blind. And right now, they're not making any move towards it. And this, unless they start making a move soon, this is going to basically be a free Roshan for Bananas Pajamas.
I think they'll know what's going on once this tier 1 starts taking some damage. They will TP in the Pugna, however, so they might be able to get away scot-free with this move coming out from them, mostly just due to the lack of vision, especially with the Morphling going up towards top lane. Yeah, I don't think that your family are wise to this move coming out from them, and in that sense, it's going to be a good one coming out, and they will secure themselves an Aegis on the Viper and immediately smoke up, looking for an aggressive movement. It looks like Scarlet Mage might be the one to fall. Kira caught in a very awkward situation here.
Yep, he's not quite sure what's going on. He does throw down a ward. There's not going to be a ward there to help, and he's going to get initiated onto it, but the silence is immediate. Can he take that void? No, he can't, and he's going to lose his life for sure.
He does a whole lot of damage towards Exa and Grey. Had they had a tier 1 tower there, I think Faceless Void might have fallen. Yeah, making the best out of a poor situation. With his ultimate, it'll be off of cooldown before too long, and we'll have it for the next team fight. They do get the tower up and top in trade, so I think Scarlet Mage for the tier 1 tower. Scarlet Mage is going to be happy with that trade most of the time. They don't have level 11 on the Death Prophet, so Exorcism's still not that strong. I don't think they'll go into this tier 2 tower just yet.
Especially not that Void still has his ultimate up, and, this is going to basically be a kill on the Scarlet Mage for a tier 1 tower. Probably slightly in favor of your family in that kind of sense. But either way, getting another kill is always nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Venomancer this time is going to be the one caught between a lot of enemy heroes. The Tidehunter's here with the Blink Gush, going to slow down the Venomancer. He tries to TP out. They'll have to commit the Ravage if they want this, and they will not. So, unfortunate. The lack of stuns really showing coming out from your family right now.
Yep, everyone should be buying TPs and using them, because let's face it, there's no way they can really stop them from just TPing out. Silence does nothing, rather like goggles.
Yeah, they'll have to commit a Ravage or a Lich Chainfrost in order to do so. So especially tanky heroes like the Wraith King or the Viper should just be able to get out scot-free. Let's see. Wraithfire Blast is jointed by the Blink coming out from Tidehunter in mid, but they're going to jump in. X and Grey going to... That was a misclick, for sure.
I think they thought it was a real one. That's the only thing that makes any sense right there, is they must have thought that Lich had been completely caught out. We do see another smoke getting popped. Oh. Another smoke getting popped off on the Tidehunter. And they're looking for another kill, but they're going to be finding some... the Faceless Void with the Chronosphere up.
They're not going to go for him. Possibly going to fight in mid. Blink away by the Wraith King, and... very awkward way to start initiating here. Everybody just kind of running at each other. BKB on the Pugna. He starts out by focusing down the Tidehunter. He drops a Ravage onto only 2 heroes, however, but with Scarlet Mage ulti, maybe they'll have enough damage. No, Viper just taking absolutely nothing. With the mechanism is going to be completely fine. The Eul Scepter comes out on Vlado, but he's not going to be able to get out safely as an unstoppable spree comes out from the Viper, and that's going to be 2 kills and presumably a tier 2 tower as well towards Bananas and Pajamas.
Yep, I don't actually quite think they can't stop this tier 2 tower going down, and they might decide to go for a little bit of tier 3 damage, especially considering they still have that Aegis on the Viper, who's having an amazing game right now. 6-0 in 3. He's got his mech. It looks like he's going for a Aghanims, which he's actually got right now. You can just simply buy the pieces.
Yeah, I don't know, Morphling's not entirely online. Working towards that Manta style still doesn't do all that much damage, and without Death Prophet available, and especially without any Ravage, it really can't do all that much. Right Thing loses his ultimate on the backlines while zoning them out, but they get the tier 3 tower, and, well, hashtag worth. Tidehunter going to be slowed down. They look for the Chronosphere. He's not going to throw it out just yet. They can silence up XN Gray, but he's not going to be so just yet. Roy Mustang falling low. He does have the Aegis, however. It looks like he's going to lose it. Wraith King, he's healed up for now. I believe that was the mechanism popped. He's, well, they're fighting under the Pugnant Ward and just taking too much damage. The Tidehunter's going to die, and Vlado just needs to be in full retreat here. His Exorcism Spirits are doing some damage, but just not enough to get them out of the base, and it looks like the barracks are going to fall. Viper towards the mid-tier 3 tower, but I don't know, Bananas and Pajamas have just secured themselves a Rax, and even if they give up a couple of kills here, it's still going to be worth it. Viper, or excuse me, Venomancer caught in a very awkward situation. He's going to drop to that Arcane Bolt and a couple more auto attacks, but still, I think this should be a clean retreat coming out from Bananas and Pajamas.
Yeah, they did a really nice job right there, especially that Void jumping in. I think he actually made a small mistake in terms of his leap in, as he thought he had more mana than he actually did, because he kind of leapt in and didn't have enough mana to cast his ultimate. But either way, it did what it was supposed to do. It kind of zoned out the rest of the team because of the threat of that ultimate being thrown out, and they got the perfect tier 3 tower and Rax with only giving up one support.
Yeah, they lost the Aegis as well, but they also got a kill in return, so yeah, great for Bananas and Pajamas, and your family seem really not the best at counter-pushing up against these Mega Creeps, especially this early, and this is before 20 minutes where they have a Rax down, and I don't know, despite the kill score being very even, Bananas and Pajamas have made themselves quite a significant lead. I'll go ahead and take a look at the graphs for the first time in this game, and while the gold graph isn't that much in favor of Bananas and Pajamas, about a 7,000 or so gold lead, the experience is also not that much of a lead, but still, the map control is going to be vastly in their favor.
Yeah, that's what I'm really surprised about, the fact that with all the towers down, you'd think there'd be a lot further in favor of Bananas and Pajamas. I'd be expecting around about a 10k gold lead at this point, but we have been seeing some very nice farming coming out from both the Death Prophet and the Morphling. It's not enough to counteract the fact that towers give so much gold, but it is keeping them in this game.
Yeah, I think Morphling needs at least one more item before he actually feels like a significant threat. Right now he has about 140 damage per hit, with the illusions also benefiting from that 130 base damage as well. But still, not the greatest. When they do silence somebody up, the adaptive strike as well as the waveform do a decent amount, but still, very lackluster for a Morphling, and kind of what you expected 20 minutes in.
As we do have, well, not something we kind of expected 22 minutes in, is another pause. It is going to be cancelled. Well, this is turning into the game of pauses.
Yeah, a lot of really weird, awkward short pauses coming out from both teams. Wraith King, after the Blink Dagger, looks like he's building towards a Blade Mail. An interesting choice, but if he's able to catch a couple of Lich Chain Frost with that Blade Mail up, the Lich is pretty much going to kill himself, as well as the Scarth Mage, and a lot of damage that they really can't deal with, and no BKB is coming out from your family for quite some time. Tier 2 Tower is going to fall in the favor of Bananas and Pajamas. No defense attempted. Currently, it's just your family split pushing out the lanes. Tidehunter and Death Prophet are going to TP back in to help defend their base.
Yeah, because they are going to be starting to harass this tier 3. They do get the ultimate off, but it's only on a illusion. And the Ravage is perfect. Picks off 3 right there. Can they turn this around? Venomancer is going to fall immediately before even popping off his ultimates. But the Lich ultimate and the Chronosphere is a money Chronosphere. 4 picked up, but the Scarth Mage does the counter. And Tidehunter is going to go down. That is going to be a 2 for a 3 right now. Family are buying back en masse, desperately trying to bring things back. And that was pretty awesome.
Well, base defended, a lot of great initiations coming out from both teams. We had a 3-man Ravage, and then the 4-man Chronosphere really was what brought Bananas and Pajamas back in that team fight. But then Scarth Mage was on the ball, and Faceless Void, while silenced up with that Scarth Mage, ulti on him just dropped way too fast for him to even juke out with that 1,000 movement speed that he gets in the Chronosphere. So, I don't know, a good team fight, base defended, but at the cost of 3 buybacks coming out from your family.
And that is actually pretty huge right there, as that is going to see the gold lead drop even further in favor of Bananas Pajamas, just because of those buybacks are so expensive.
Oh, Pugna in mid lane. He's going to be forced to pop the BKB and try to TP out potentially. He will drop a life drain on the Tidehunter as he TPs back to base to help his HP a little bit more. But in the end, that's a fairly costly usage of the BKB. Will cost him his 8-second BKB charge. But Death Prophet is going to lose her life down in bottom lane. The Blink Stun coming up from the Wraith King, as well as Roy Mustang attacking her was too much for the Death Prophet to handle.
Who is currently 8-0-6. And even better, getting a small amount of lifesteal from that Wraith King. Just meaning it's going to be even more tanky, especially with that mechanism. 1.7k health and 18 armor. That is just huge amounts of defensive capability coming out from the Viper, as well as damage.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Morphling pick up a replicate of the Wraith King in order to get that aura for his own team, but still not the most important deal. Lizard jumps in, stuns up Cure, and it looks like he's just going to feed away this life. He stuns up Scar with Mage ulti onto the Viper as well as the Wraith King. They're going to share that damage for the most part. Roy Mustang godlike spree as he kills the Tidehunter. Now the Morphling trying to strength gain, zapped by the Pugna Ward, but beyond godlike streak, and now the Morphling also going to die. Second tier 3 tower is going to fall, and the second Rax is going to be short to follow, and it looks like Bananas and Pajamas have done it.
Yeah, we just saw the Viper. He walked forward and was simply a case of, I know you can't kill me, so I'm going to attack you in the face and win.
Yeah, I don't know, 25 or 20 minutes or so in, Viper is pretty much king. Not a whole lot that the enemy team could do against him, especially with the spree they had. I think he ended that game somewhere along the lines of like 8-0-8, maybe even more, 9-0-8. I don't know, I'll have to see his kill score once the scoreboard comes up. But either way, Bananas and Pajamas get the win in Game 1, and I know a lot of bettors are going to be unhappy about this, but then again, mad rares for whoever bet on the underdogs.
Yep, and in fact, you were wrong on both counts. It was 11-0-6.
Oh my
so
goodness.
much, need 2 digits.
Well, a great performance coming up from Bananas and Pajamas. Even though it was fairly even as far as those kills and gold was concerned, they were just able to find the perfect moments to coordinate their pushes, and their pushes and teamfights were coordinated very well coming out from Bananas and Pajamas. Even though, on an individual level, their skill wasn't as good, I'd say, as far as farming mechanics and laning was concerned. That said, Game 2 going to be coming up very shortly here on HeflaTV 1. I've been one of your casters, Grandis V, and I've been joined by Banshee for this game, who will be coming back for Game 2. So if you like the casting you see here, you can follow us on our English channels at HeflaTV 1 and 2, Germans on 3 and 4, and now Chinese on 5 and 6. So if you do speak any of those languages, you can check out those channels as well. Also, social media on HeflaTV at Facebook and Twitter, and the VODs will be uploaded to youtube.com/HeflaMoke. So now that is all out of the way, back to the lobby, some music, some ads, and Game 2 coming up shortly. See you soon.